Yep. Good evening. Welcome to our monthly Q&A session. I understand we have a bunch of good questions tonight. We're going to try to go through those as quickly as we can and as completely. Remember, we're not here to diagnose or prescribe. We're here to give you educational information on different forms of challenges within the body and how the body functions, as well as different scientific information about the products and how they might interface with the body and help the body to overcome different challenges that we might be faced with. So with that being said, guys, this is one of my favorite broadcasts that we do. It's a challenge because there's a lot of diverse questions, but it's something that really tests the old gray matter. So make sure that you spread the word. Once a month, we'll be working on doing this for you. So I hope that you enjoy tonight. And if you have questions, please send them to support@beyoungth.com. questions@beyoungth.com, and we'll get those put on tonight. Or chat it in on the system that you're on tonight, okay? So our first question, hi Dana, please let me know what oil or oils to use for a pink eye in cows, how many drops, and how to use it, please. Yeah, that's an excellent question. I was just looking at Alma, who sent that in. Been doing a lot of work with Alma on her leg. She's had some challenges, and so yeah, I'm glad to see your leg doing well. Pink eye, again, it's a bacteria infection usually. Very seldom will you find it being viral, but it's usually a bad infection in the eye, and it gets really bad to the point where it can actually culver over the entire pupil. And eventually the infection gets so intense that the cow can lose their eye completely, and the vet will either come out and take it out, or it'll just be this big ugly mess that eventually will run and drain and burst open, and then it'll shrink, and then there'll just be no vision in that eye at all. So one of the things that you have to look at is what stage of pink eye is the cow in. Is it the beginning stages where it's just running and just red? That's very easy to take care of, tea tree or rosemary, lavender. All these are good oils that can be used on that situation. Again, you'd want to dilute the oil 50% because if you put it in undiluted, it is very, very painful. I know, I've tried it on myself. Not for pink eye, but for other items working with my eyes. So dilute it 50%, so you'd want to take 4 or 5 drops of either the lavender or the tea tree or the rosemary, depending on how aggressive the pink eye seems to look. And then you would add the same amount of olive oil or the conveyance oil or some other kind of an oil. Then you would take that and put it directly into the eye. You want to do that at least a couple times a day. Now, if the eye is advanced to where now it already has the film over the eye, if you look in and you can't see the pupil, they've got redness and draining all around it, and then it looks like there's a big old cataract over the eye. We have to get that cataract to be basically removed. The easiest way to do that is if you take a little bit of the dendritic salt, the starflake bath salt, and you just put a little bit in the palm of your hand and hold their eye open, just pop it in. They're going to really go like this, and it's going to drain, and they'll blink. The little bit of grit that you have on that will go in and literally cut that film off. Then treat them with the essential oil. We've had 100% success with that. So depending on stage 1 or stage 2 is how you'd approach that. So good question. Thank you for sending that in. Our next question, guys, we're pretty excited about all that have been sent in here. We would appreciate your recommendations for the treatment of canine MRSA. Thank you. This is something that's kind of interesting. I was watching TV the other night, and they were talking about dogs having allergies to their food. I turned to Cammie and I said, wow, have we ever had a dog? And we've had dogs our whole married life. At one point we had a lot of dogs. We ever had a dog that was allergic to the food? She says, no, because we're not feeding synthetic garbage food. Well, that makes sense. Dogs, cats, animals, they're no different than we are. They've got to have a cleaning. And if they don't have a cleaning and they're constantly getting shots and antibiotics and everything put in there, it will morph the bacteria. And when you start morphing that bacteria, now you're set up for MRSA to happen. MRSA is methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. And so what you're dealing with is they've contracted this because either A, their immune system's down, or B, they have mutated the Staphylococcus so much in their body from antibiotics and whatnot, and now it's morphed into this, and now we have a resistant, antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And so we treat it the same way you treat it with yourself. If you have something like this going on with you, we have the immune pack. It's been very, very successful in working with this, and the immune pack is Spice of Life, Guardian, and Defense. Those 3 oils are absolutely amazing. If it's topically, you'd want to go ahead and use the Spice for Life orally, one drop on some meat or something like that, toss it, let them eat it down the hatch. Do the other 2 oils topically wherever the MRSA breakout is. If you can't find a MRSA breakout on its topically, then you do the same thing. So Spice for Life in the morning, Guardian at lunch, Defense around dinner. And so you just add that to their diet, or add the spice to the diet and the others 2 topically. The other oil that you could use that's been very effective is eucalyptus. It really helps boost the immune system. But those really seem to work very well for us, 2-legged biped creatures. Work really well for the canine variety too. So good question, thank you. Well, looks like we have a big one coming in. Whew. All right, here we go. Thanks, Denise, for sending this in. 65-year-old female who had breast cancer in 1993, which included lymphatic biopsies and severe radiation treatments to the point that there was lung damage. Oh, wow. She now suffers from cellulitis, getting lung infections, and that either put her in the hospital for long treatments of antibiotics, some by chest point, so they're putting chest ports in too. So they're putting antibiotics right into the lungs through a chest port. Wow. At times she has difficulty breathing and like an elephant on her chest. Because they also removed a number of the lymph nodes, she's suffering from edema, of course, but refuses to have any type of lymphatic drainage massage. She's approximately 5'2" and about 120 pounds. Okay, that's the first part of the question. Ori, what we'll have to do on the second part is raise it up because it's right where my arm is. There you go, good. All right, so she's asking for any advice that would help. She is moving to North Carolina in 2 weeks. All right, so we're going to try to do as much as we can here to help you out. This is a tough one, guys, because there's been extensive damage, not only done with the mastectomy operations and then the radiation to the point where we've created damage to the lungs. When you start doing that, when you have a radiation burn that extensive, we're dealing with a lot of scar tissue. And so the function of the lung is very much diminished and the immune system is really challenged. So if this was me, if I was being challenged with this, I'd look at it and say, okay, what areas would I need to try to work on first? Because there's a short-term and then there's a long-term agenda here, is the way I'd look at this. The short-term agenda is I want to get my immune system up where it needs to be to help stop future reinfections. The challenge we're going to have is with these here antibiotics by port directly in to the body. It's going to be a challenge because we've morphed every bacteria in the body, good bacteria, bad bacteria, bacteria that just doesn't care. Everything has been morphed. A virus has been morphed, fungus has been morphed, bacteria has been, everything's been morphed in the body. And so it's a real challenge because of everything that's happened. So the first thing we want to do is start rebuilding the body, rebuilding the immune system. So once again, the immune system pack would be something that I'd really, really recommend for myself because I know that we're going to be working with a virus, we're going to be working with bacteria, we're going to be working with fungus. We're going to be working in stopping the mutation process and cleaning up the bad bacteria that's involved through the morphing of this. So again, Spice for Life in the morning, Guardian at lunch, Defense at dinner, and I would personally do about 4 drops, put in a capsule and take the capsule. That's exactly what I would do for that situation. Get that going. Also, I'd start using eucalyptus on the bottom of my feet. You know there's going to be all kinds of free radicals going on because of the surgery, the radiation, and the antibiotics. And so we want to have strong free radical properties in your body. So you're going to be looking at a good, strong antioxidant. So massage, and to help balance that out, not only do we want to attack the free radicals, but we want to defend against the antioxidant that is doing the job and killing the free radical, turning into a free radical itself. So we'd want to add to that the NutriSmart. And so we want to start building the body's defense system. Get the bad bacteria knocked down, build the immune system, and start protecting against further onslaught. With that being said, we've got a lot of challenges, scar tissue and stuff that's going to be in the lungs, that's going to create poor oxygen carbon dioxide exchange because of the radiation burn so deep into the lungs. So once again, a couple oils that I use personally to help with external and internal scars: lavender, frankincense, helichrysum. Those 3 oils are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the reduction of scarring. We can throw another oil in there, copaiba, very powerful in helping reduce scarring and to help new tissue to regenerate. The nice thing about this, the helichrysum and the copaiba have a compound called cartilage, and according to research, it tells living cells to regenerate. So that's why we want that in there, to help the new cells to regenerate, reducing the scarring and whatnot, so you can get better oxygen exchange in the lungs. Because scar tissue is very dense, very hard, and so what winds up happening is you don't have that expansion that you need for the lungs to do the movement of air. And we need to remove the scar tissue as much as we can, soften that so we can get better expansion so it doesn't feel like there's an elephant on the chest all the time. But this is the very, it's not going to happen overnight. Let's be absolutely just completely transparent here. This is not something you're going to do for 4 or 5 days and you're going to be totally well. This is going to be something that's going to have to go on for a fair amount of time. I would guesstimate on something like this, we're going to be looking at least, you're going to be looking a year, 18 months. Is it going to be that long before you see a change? No. There will be change. There'll be a quick change initially. Then there's going to be slow change for several months as the body starts to remove the scar tissue. As far as the reinfection and stuff like that, that's the big change you're going to see. That if they will do this, you'll find that it'll be a lot easier to not be reinfected. And so the longer we can go without having the antibiotics and the ports and everything put in, the better it is. But as far as the elephant on the chest and that kind of situation, that's going to be the long-term goal, the long-term challenge. Be faithful, be consistent, and there will be advances and changes and a lot of good things that will be happening. The only other thing that I would add to this situation is the liver is going to be totally compromised because of the onslaught of everything that's happened to this body. So we'd want to definitely do the liver cleanse along with this. And so that was a big order. I knew that was going to be a big one. She's not too overweight for her height, 120. She's just within the parameters, I think, at 5'2". You hit the overweight racket right about 125, I think, is where it comes in. So she's on the upper end, and part of that's because she's with all the bacteria all screwed up in her body. She's not digesting correctly, and so there's all kinds of challenges that go on with that also. So I hope that's helpful. I know she's going to be moving to North Carolina out there. We do have some good folks out in that neck of the woods that you call into customer service and we can hook you up to people within that area. So thanks for your question. Okay, please suggest which oils to use for chakras and meditation. I have found four suggestions from your sources. Gratitude, charity, emotion, and eye vision. Really, kind of amazing. The oil of choice for me there when it comes to meditation is gratitude. The reason why gratitude is because gratitude, when I did this blend, I had to work on the frequency of the crown chakra. And the crown chakra is a representation of all of the others. And so if we use the gratitude oil, we're really affecting all 7 chakras or energy centers. So that's my go-to oil personally for meditation. But sometimes people really like the emotion oil. It's for the solar plexus, and that's where the seat of anger sits. And so a lot of them will use the emotion oil because they're so bound up with anger they can't relax, they can't meditate. So that oil really helps to calm that anger reflex down so that they can meditate. Some people are injured in their heart because of betrayal or whatever it might be. So charity becomes a really, really good oil to use if that's kind of the situation where there's been betrayal or stabbing in the back or something. Charity seems to be a really good oil to help people move past that and be able to meditate. And of course, eye vision. Eye vision, guys, for the 6th chakra, the 3rd eye, this is the energy center where people literally have a challenge of introspection. They have that low self-esteem, that low self-worth. No one wants to hear what I have to say. It's just really a real challenge. And so that oil really helps those that are really having a hard time with personal change. And so those are the kind of the 4 oils that work very well there in helping people come to that place of meditation and inner peace where they can really start working through some of the challenges that might be happening within their self. So excellent question, excellent question. Okay, our next one. There is much said from the alternative cancer cure resources concerning coffee enemas. Would you speak to this, and how does this compare with our liver cleanse? We really can't run a comparison between the two. A lot of people are really pumped up about the coffee enemas. I'm not real a fan of them personally. This is my own personal take. A lot of people use them, and a lot of people claim they've had great success with them. My challenge with the coffee enema is that here we have, if we have some involvement of something going on and we're doing a coffee enema, there's some compounds within the coffee itself that can actually help certain forms of cancer within the colon to actually grow faster. And so I'm a little challenged by that. And so because of that, I've never really been a fan of it. Doesn't mean that it hasn't been used, doesn't mean that there hasn't been success with it, but that's just my take on that. As far as the liver cleanse, the coffee, totally different. Coffee enema is trying to sweep out all the stuff out of the canal, where the liver cleanse is actually helping to pull stuff from the cells and the liver and dump it into the canal. So it's kind of how you need to take a look at this. Are you cleaning the canal, or are you cleaning the headwaters? It's kind of how you need to take a look at that, okay? All righty, let's take a look at our next question. Our next question is, what causes swelling of the ankles, and is there anything that a person can do to prevent this? Also, is there anything one can use for COPD, or is that emphysema? It's a little hard to see. I know there is no cure for it. Oh, great. No cure for it, but is there something that one can take to make it a little easier? So let's first talk about the swollen ankles. Is there anything you can do for a person that has swollen ankles? Guys, this is like asking, how much money is in the U.S. Treasury. Of course, right now we can say zero, right? That's a tough question because there are literally a myriad of things that can cause swollen ankles. We could have all kinds of lymphatic issues going on there. We could have kidney issues. If you have poor kidney function, your ankles are going to blow up like this. You could have a real challenge with just water retention because your electrolyte balance is off. Your sodium-potassium ratios are out of whack. And so there's a myriad of things that could be going on here. So how do we really approach that? It's really kind of tough. Again, it might be something you might want to go to a medical professional and see what they have to say. Is the kidneys functioning correctly? Is there sodium-potassium imbalance? Is there electrolyte imbalance? Is the lymphatic system shutting down? These are all questions that need to be kind of looked at before we can make a real guesstimate there. But let's just kind of address each of those. If we're dealing with a kidney issue, and we see this all the time, I saw one gentleman, a kidney heart issue in Texas, Tom. His kidneys shut down and his ankles swelled. I mean, his legs were the size of his torso because when the kidneys shut down, that uric acid goes right down the legs. And so you really got to take a look at that and see. One of the things that we had him do is we had do juniper berry and geranium compresses on the kidneys and got the kidneys back up going, and things started to work a lot better. To move the fluids out of there, if it's just regular fluid retention or lymphatic, cypress and bay laurel massage the ankles towards the groin. Those are kind of some of the things you have to look at. So this is kind of a real shotgun approach. I hope that helps. As far as COPD, let's see, get my thoughts here. It's something that you have to take a look at and realize that we have been instructed over the years that there's nothing you can really do for it, and it's just going to be one of those situations. Yes, it is really a rough one. Yes, there's a lot of challenge with it, and we're not going to come out and say, oh, do this and this, and it's silver bullet, it's going to take care of it. But there's a lot of things that you can do to improve the function there. And, first we need to look at what caused the issue. We can do all of the repair and preventative measures we want, but if we're still doing the same activity that created the issue to start in the first place, now we're running just in circles, accomplishing really not a whole lot. One of the first oils that I love for this, that I personally have seen some success with, is Breathe. Breathe is absolutely an amazing oil to help. Breathe, peppermint, or spearmint, depending on whether you have high blood pressure or not. But Breathe, peppermint, spearmint. The other one that I love for this situation is rosemary. So those are the 4 oils that I would really look at using there. And how would you use them? A lot of different ways. You can use the Breathe in the diffuser. You can use the others topically with a compress. Leave it on until it goes cold and take it off. You can use the Breathe as a compress, take it off. Let's see, I'm just thinking back. We had one individual that actually used frankincense, had a lot of success with that. So that might be another oil you want to throw in there, a 5th oil. But that will give you some really significant change. But it's something you're going to have to deal with and work with over time. Again, is it something that we can cure? We can't say that. Absolutely not. That'd be irresponsible and actually not being very truthful. Is it something that we can help ease? Absolutely, because we've seen that happen. And so we can help strengthen the body and strengthen it to the point where it's not such a huge issue. But once again, a lot of it depends on you. We've got to clean the body, so liver cleanse is important there. We've got to work on free radicals, because when you don't have the proper oxygen exchange, you're going to wind up with all kinds of free radical damage. So we've got to attack the free radicals and then defend against them and use the other stuff to help combat what's going on inside. It's, again, you can't use it for 1 or 2 days and say, oh, it doesn't work. How many years, how many months did it take you to get to this point? It's not going to reverse overnight. We have to be responsible and let you understand it's a lifestyle change. And when you make that lifestyle change, miracles happen. Your body will perform miracles by the second when given the tools. Our job is to help instruct you on those tools. Your job is to use them consistently, not just here and there whenever it is convenient. It's the biggest challenge that we have. If you only eat like you work on trying to take care of your body, you'd either be this big around, or you'd die, or you go into starvation mode and you'd be a big old whale, because your body just pack it on anytime you eat until you blew up, so you're not going to eat again for 3 weeks. You'd just pack on whatever it could. And so remember, consistency of use will create a pattern of change in your body that's unbelievable. You must make the decision. You decide, well, I'm going to live with this until I die, or I'm going to be consistent and do something to improve my quality of life. And that's where we are, improving the quality of life, because it's just irresponsible to say, oh, we'll cure this in 3 or 4 drops of oil and you're good to go. It's improving your quality of life, and over time and distance, you'll get to a point where you go, wow, it's been several months since I've really had a problem. But it's consistency that makes that happen. All righty, our next question. Okay, having a goat, okay, yep. Coconut and oatmeal soap, handmade for me, wondering where in the process do we add the essential oils, and how much essential oils do we add? Charlotte, this is a great question. Way back in the very beginning year of Be Young, we actually sold handmade goat soap. And it was amazing. It was from the goat milk. And so we literally, the goat milk was, of course, extracted, milked, and then we extracted the cream, went through with the coconut oil and everything, and made it. It was great soap. It was really amazing. We had it for about 6 months. Didn't catch on, and it's a lot of work to make, and so we just continued that. And so you want to add the essential oil at the end, totally at the end. Specifically when you start cooling things down. If you have the temperature way too hot, you're going to flash the oil right out of it and it's gone. So you need to bring it down, use your candy thermometer, bring your recipe down. It'd be best if you had it down about 150, 140, 150, 120 is better before you add the essential oils in there. And as far as how much essential oils, that's kind of a preference for you. I started out in a mix that would make, let's see, I was making 20 bars at a time, and I was using 25 drops of essential oil. And so basically you figure 1 drop per bar. You can move from there. I didn't want to go too strong because it stops it from the bar setting up real well. And so start with 1 drop per bar, and then you can migrate one way or the other on that to see how it works for you. But that's a really good question, Charlotte. Thank you. Okay, I was sitting in bed, solid wood, the floorboards was reclining against the sofa. I left it standing up, and then I was going to get one side of the frame, and suddenly it fell, excruciating pain. The footboard fell on the back of my leg by the Achilles tendon. I applied ChiroTouch, peppermint, geranium immediately. That happened Thursday night. I did the PAT, but I have a lot of pain. Oh, okay. You're having all kinds of fun, Alma. I'm sorry that you're going through all kinds of challenges. All right, so yeah, there's the picture. Okay, and this is what we've been dealing with. Wow. Ouch. So is it just one picture, just the one? Okay. All right, well, here's the situation. You've really done some damage there. And as you can see, that discoloration that's going on, you have bleeding within the interstitium. And the challenge that you have is, when you hit something like this, or you sprain an ankle, the typical thing that the doctor tells you to do is go in and ice pack it. I'm totally against ice pack right off, because when you're bleeding into the interstitium, now that's blood proteins. That's red blood cells, white blood cells, plasma, the whole 9 yards. You're bleeding into the interstitium, and then when you put ice on there immediately, yes, that's great for the swelling, but what it does is it turns the blood into a blood clot. It is so much more difficult to get a blood clot out when it's a blood clot than when it's still in flowing situation. So I'm sorry that it's been a couple days. There's some challenges there, but we're going to help you out here. First thing you want to do is you want to go with hot, then cold, then hot, then cold, then hot, then cold. Only 5 minutes of the hot, 5 minutes of the cold. What you're doing is you're literally massaging the tissue like this, and you're pushing that trapped blood protein out of the tissue into the lymphatic system and getting it out of there. And so now that that's trapped in there, it's going to be a little longer process. So here's what I do, and we do this all the time. Take and just put peppermint oil on there. Just put it on, boom. On that whole area, the ankle and up the leg there, I'd put on probably, I don't know, I'd just drip it, 8, 10, 15 drops on there, massage that all in. Then I'd throw on about another 4 or 5 drops of lavender. Then I'd put on the warm compress, 5 minutes, take it off, put a cold compress, 5 minutes, warm compress. Do 4 cycles ending with hot. You'll see the discoloration going away very, very rapidly. It will start pulling it out of there. Your body will start absorbing it. The swelling's going to go down. The pain's going to diminish. If you hit in that area, the Achilles tendon, you could also have a little bit of bone bruising there. So after you do the compresses, I go on with either physical touch or just straight birch right on that Achilles area in case you've bruised some of the bone there. But yeah, that's pretty wicked looking. That's wicked bad. So give that a whirl. Send us a picture. Okay, I'm thinking that I may do similar to some of, I'm thinking this may do similar to some of our oils and be companions to them, okay? Okay, compare contrast with how specific essential oils function. It's gone. There we go. Okay. Compare/contrast with how specific essential oils functions to address prevention and symptoms, etc., along with other Be Young total health products /approach, especially reference to crossing the blood-brain barrier, addressing toxic cells and clearing, etc. Okay, so this paragraph caught your attention. A team described the technique of using a particular type of ultrasound called a focus therapeutic ultrasound, which non-invasive beams of sound waves into the brain tissue. By oscillating super fast, these sound waves are able to gently open up the blood-brain barrier with its layers of protection, the brain against bacteria, and stimulate the brain's microcells to activate. Okay. So this is for Alzheimer's. Okay. All right. So that's the article that you looked at and got you thinking about this. So let's go back and let's first talk about the blood-brain barrier. Or can you bring that down so I can look at the question, because it was a quite involved question. Up, I meant, sorry, yeah. All right, so, okay, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do this from the bottom to top. Wow, what a question. Blood-brain barrier, crossing the blood-brain barrier. All right, here's the challenge that you have. When you're looking at the blood-brain barrier, it is a protective barrier that keeps chemotherapy out and other things out of the body. And it's a good thing. And it has some prerequisites. In order for it to allow something in, there's 2 things that must happen. Number 1, the product has to be a lipid. If it is a lipid, which is lactic acid, then that's one thing that the brain barrier says, okay, come on in. You meet that requirement. The second requirement that it has is that it has to be under 800 atomic mass units, or AMUs. If it's under 800 atomic mass units and it is a lipid, right through the blood-brain barrier, just like the I-70 or I-80, just like that, no problem. Well, let's take a look at essential oils. Where do they stack up? Well, number one, they are a liptic acid. Criteria number one met. Number two, AMUs. Where do they rank in the atomic mass unit? Now, what an atomic mass unit is where they take the carbon, the hydrogen, and the oxygen. They all have a weight, and they add them all up, and that gives you the overall atomic mass unit, AMU. Well, where do essential oils land on this? They land between about 210 to 0. So they're well under 800 AMUs. So it meets criteria number one, and it meets criteria number two. So essential oils pass through the blood-brain barrier lickety-split. No problem. It's amazing. In fact, research done at the French Medical Hospital, they proved that essential oils pass the blood-brain barrier within 3 seconds. And they can measure elevated levels of endorphins and compounds and oxygens around the pineal pituitary area of the brain. So when we're talking about clearing, or if we're talking about clearing emotional trauma, again, bam, right to the amygdala, just like that, and we have some emotional release. That's why sometimes when people start using essential oils for the first time, they'll have an emotional release. And so that's what's so amazing about it. Now when we start looking at addressing the other problems that you find within the brain, like toxic cells. Let's talk about that for just a little bit. Because the essential oils pass the blood-brain barrier instantly and get in the brain, there are certain essential oils that I love talking about when it comes to the brain. And we're going to talk about turmeric oil right now. This oil, guys, I tell you what, is phenomenal. Because what happens, especially with Alzheimer's patients and dementia, even multiple sclerosis to a small degree, Hashimoto, and Lou Gehrig's, these kind of brain challenges. What happens is they found that there is a protein that builds up in the brain, and your body sends macrophages in there to attack these proteins in the brain, digest them, and move them into the blood and take them out of the brain. When that process breaks down, these proteins build up in the brain, and now they attack the brain. And that's the beginning causes of dementia and Alzheimer's. In Alzheimer's patients, they find that the brain is completely satiated with this protein. Well, what they found with, not only with the protein, but when the protein also, when it starts attacking the brain, creates inflammation, which creates more proteins, and the cycle just gets worse and worse and worse. And so what they found is that turmeric actually goes in and helps to stimulate the body to release more of the macrophages to go after and clean up the bacteria. Now, the reason they were able to prove this is they had two control groups. They had the group that had the turmeric, and then they had the group, the placebo, and then they had a group that was doing garlic. And so there's two placebo groups, basically, and then the turmeric. And so what they found is those that were on the turmeric had more dissolved proteins in their blood than those that did not. And so it's very evident that turmeric that has high levels of curcumin and R-tumerone, which you find in our turmeric essential oil, literally would it stimulate the body to release these macrophages to clean out this here trapped protein in the brain and put it back in the bloodstream and get it out of the brain. The second thing they found is you don't find this with the turmeric powders. You only find this in the turmeric essential oil, and that's the R-tumerone. It's in our turmeric oil, the R-tumerone is 68.8%. And they found that the R-tumerone releases brain stem cells to cause brain repair. But it's only with the R-tumerone. And the powdered turmeric only has the curcumin. And it's usually far below the, you have to take a lot of the powder to get the curcumin high enough percentage to really start releasing the macrophages. In the essential oil, the curcumin percentage is 7.8%, and the R-tumerone is 68.8%. So you have a double whammy punch when it comes to working on detoxing the cells in the brain, rebuilding the brain, clearing out the trauma because the oils will pass beyond the blood-brain barrier. Absolutely amazing. So oils that I love using for the brain, frankincense, lavender, peppermint. Peppermint is the same frequency of the brain at 78 megahertz. And of course, rosemary and turmeric. Absolutely, absolutely phenomenal oils for this situation. So I hope that really helps. Great question. Great question. Okay, I'm going to have to move through them faster. We'll be here all night. Whew. All right. I would like to know how to use oils as if these were antibiotics or fighting bacteria. I may have the beginnings of cellulitis, and I have done the L-form pack and started 8 drops for 2 days of each every 15 minutes for 1 hour, and then noon, 6, and 10 p.m. Also took oregano 2 drops every 15 minutes in intervals for 2 hours, and then I did it for an hour as well. The skin infection, red, light, brown, around the ankle, I applied rosemary, oregano, diluted with tea tree on location. I wish it would be certain guidance on how much and how often. How long should I start to see results? I'm trying so hard to avoid the antibiotics. Okay, this one here, I've got some knowledge on it. I kind of thought this was Alma. I've got some updated pictures of this infection. It literally changed in the last 24 hours. Absolutely amazing. And here's what we're dealing with. She's done perfect. Everything that you see here in this question that you heard here is perfect. No better way to do it. Here's what I had her add. There was an open wound, and it was huge. It was like this. And it was just scabby and weeping and pussy and black and scabbed over. And I told her that we need to have that scab to be softened and removed because we got to keep the draining happen because there's a lot of infection in the tissue. And it just wasn't happening, and so I advised that she go see the doctor, make sure that we did not have flesh-eating disease going on here or some kind of sepsis, because that can go from a bad thing to death very quickly. So she went in to see the doctor, and she did not have sepsis, and there was not streptococcus A flesh-eating disease, and so that was really good. And so they allowed her, they tried to remove the big old scab, and they couldn't. It was just too deep into the leg. And so they let her put geranium oil on it and come home. I had her take vitamin E oil, wheat germ oil, and lavender and tea tree and a little bit of thyme, and put it right on the wound and wrap it. You would be amazed to see what happened overnight. The big old ugly scab and blackness pulled right out, came right out. It looks 50% better. The temperature went down. The redness went down. It's still hard. It's still a challenge that way. And the problem that we are dealing with here now is with all this going on, we're dealing with a lot of challenges with lymphedema because we've had bacteria that's infected the soft tissue. It's going to actually work on the lymphatic pathways and cause all kinds of problems. So we really need to be looking on working that leg with cypress and bay laurel and doing some lymphatic massage to get that up out of there. This is still a pretty serious situation. But when you're looking at the original question about the antibiotics, guys, oregano and thyme, you know, they're powerful. Our staff pack is powerful. Our immune pack is powerful. Remember, an antibiotic goes in and kills everything. And so you see a lot of challenges with that. With essential oils, we're going in and going after the bad stuff. And so you have to apply often, small amounts, and be consistent with it. And this is what Alma has done. And she's starting to see some really good success here. So keep it up. And your essential oils, small amounts, often. Okay? All right. Next question. Oh. What would you suggest for lymphedema? A lady has no lymph nodes working in lower half of her body, had gastric sleeves done on lower half of the body, still very heavy, told there is no cure. You know, when we have lymphedema like this, again, your bay laurel, your cypress works very well, but lymphedema, we're going to have to be looking at some compression bandages there to change the pressures, to move that stuff out. That's one thing that Ori is very, very excellent in teaching is compression bandages and using the bay laurel and the cypress. So until you can learn how to do the compression bandages, it would probably be good to seek out lymphatic drainage specialist and have them work with bay laurel and cypress and do compression bandages to move that out of there. Next question. If you were a person who had breast cancer and did chemotherapy, radiation, and then got cancer in the thyroid, got surgery to remove it, then got surgery to remove it, and then pathology still showed traces of cancer, would you do PSM? And how would you do it? Is it best on scalp or capsule, or would you deliver faster and more accurate results? According to the research, they will destroy it, but how much and how long? Okay, wow. Here's the challenge. Anytime you have a cancer situation going on and you hit it with chemo and radiation, it doesn't really kill the cancer, it just makes it really small, and then it goes into an L-form status, gets into the bloodstream, and moves to another location to hide from the chemo and radiation, and pops out in a new location. And you can see that right here. It went from the breast to the thyroid, now they've done surgery, and now they show traces of the cancer elsewhere. Again, the PMS is okay for that, but to be honest with you, at this point, it would probably be a little bit premature to use that. I would more go to the L-form, frankincense, myrrh, lavender would be my oils of choice personally, and I would go right to location, right to the thyroid area, and start working that whole area, because they took it out and they're still showing traces in this area. So I just put it topically. If they want to use the PSM topically, the same location, they can also do that, but I'd go with the other oils first personally. Okay? Whew. Next question. I should have brought me some water. Are there any oils to help with gout? Again, a gout is going to be fluid trapped, and the lymphatic system is probably shutting down. Bay laurel, cypress are the two oils of choice, and lymphatic massage. Please get on it right away, or you're going to wind up having to go into compression bandages and go to a lot more involvement to get that moved out of there. Okay, next question. Please let me know if I can use digest for reflux in a 3-month-old baby. Please explain why do babies get reflux? Is it possible allergy and or the fact that his digestive system is not developing yet? Okay, once again, this is a real broad question. Hard for me to make a synopsis, and I could spend 15 minutes talking about all the different issues here. A lot of times the baby is born early, or if the mother's diet was not where it needed to be, or had challenges herself. She did not breastfeed. These are all issues that can cause reflux because they don't have the digestive enzymes, they don't have the bacteria, they don't have all the stuff that's needed in the stomach. So when you start feeding them, the body goes, what in the heck is this? And then we have the reflux situation going on. So, or they're overfeeding them. That's something you have to look at. Sometimes that could be an issue too. So yeah, you can use digest. We've used digest on little babies a lot. Again, follow the dilution ratio. You know, this is going to be a 75% dilution. So 1 drop, 3 drops of carrier, and then 1 drop of that massaged on the belly. I've actually taken a trace of that and put it on the tongue. Works very well that way. Fennel is another that can be used for the reflux. It works very well. Kamisha used it all the time on her babies, on the tummy. And after she rubbed it on the tummy, then she just take her finger and rub it around their mouth, and that's the way she gets a small amount. So that should help out there. Whew. Next question. I would like to know when the tissue of the skin are hit by a major object, damaging tendons, vessels, nerves, etc. What can you use in order to regenerate the parts that are involved? Brain gem does the brain cells. What will help do the other cells in their body. Okay, again, guys, the list is amazing of the oils that you could look at to use. It's really quite simple. Lavender helps tissue regeneration. There's tons of research on that. Copaiba, helichrysum, palmarosa, lots of research on all of those that help with tissue regeneration. But if you have bruising and trapped blood in there, you got to get that out first. So again, your peppermint, your lavender, your compresses, get that moved out. Bay laurel, cypress, get it moved out of there so the tissues can regenerate. Okay, next question. Oh boy, a big one. That's what I just said. Ay, ay, ay. This could be the rest of the night. Oh. Okay, you read it and kind of calm it down a bit. Whew, holy cow. All right, since we do not have bug spray anymore, what would you recommend we use to protect us from flying mosquitoes and gnats and ticks? Good question, guys. We actually do have 205 bottles of Bug Buster sitting on the shelf. It's just been staying there forever. No one's ordered it. But anyway, couple things you can do. If you want, if you have someone come to the barbecue that you don't want, give them geranium, the bees will drive them away. So don't use geranium. So the ones that work very well, basil. Here's a recipe for you that you can do. You can take 5 drops of basil, 1 drop of lemongrass, and 2 drops of peppermint, and put that in water, shake it up, and spray yourself, and you're good to go. Okay? So there's your recipe. Okay. Can you have other internal fungal problems other than candida? If so, will eucalyptus, thyme, oregano, lavender recipe help those? Yes, you can have other issues, other fungal problems. Candida is only one of the usually 2 or 3 or 4 species of funguses that can be within your body. And so, once again, your Guardian is a broad spectrum antifungal. Also, your Spice for Life works against fungus because of the cinnamon bark in there. And so those work very well. Your lavender is like #1 for thrush. It is phenomenal for thrush. So that'll help you out there. Number 2 question. When it says to put an oil in a capsule, like Spice for Life, for internal infections, will using the Lictric instead work as well? Yep. Number 3. Will putting thyme, dill, and oregano oil on your salad oil instead of a capsule help with boosting your immune system? Yes, it will. You guys, you should be using your oils anytime you cook. Just remember to put it in after the cooking process, because if it's too hot, it's going to flash out and change it. You need to be under 212. You need to be under boiling, because if you put it in while it's boiling, it's gone. So bring your food down. I love dill. I love thyme in salad dressing. Great stuff. So cook with it. Number 4, new meal replacements coming soon, please. Yes, we don't have an exact date for you, but let me tell you this. Guys, I've tasted it. I've played with it. It's soon, and it's unbelievable, and it's specifically for you. I think that's a good little teaser. Number 5, what does reverse polarity on a person mean? Well, your body has a flow clockwise of energy, and when you go through trauma or some kind of a physical challenge, sometimes it'll reverse and it'll turn and go counterclockwise. So what you do is you buy a ticket to Australia, go down there for 2 weeks, come back, and it's good. Just kidding. Geranium on the sternum, on the forehead, have someone connect, hold until temperature is the same, polarity reverses, and so it goes the right way clockwise. Okay? All right, next question. Oh, good, a short one. What essential oil is recommended for lymphedema and sarcoidosis? Well, we've got kind of 2 different situations going on here. Lymphedema, of course, the 2 that we've talked about already, the cypress and the bay laurel. Those are the 2 best oils, bar none, for lymphedema. For sarcoidosis, physical touch and lemongrass. Okay? All right, next question. Oh, you're working on one? Okay. Hey, Terry, what could you use for breast cancer, also stage 4 liver cancer? Well, thank you, Terry, for that compliment. All right, so let's go with breast cancer. Again, research at Ohio State University showed that breast cancer tumors would shrink 50% with just lavender oil alone. And so, guys, lavender oil, myrrh oil, L-form, right on the breast, those are the oils of choice personally. Frankincense also. So those are the 4 oils of choice personally that I would use on breast cancer. On liver cancer, this is a challenge because now we're inside and we have to work on it. So, once again, you want to start with a liver cleanse, get the liver cleanse going, and that's something that, depending on what stage of liver cancer, whether you do it once a day or twice a day, I would start out once a day. If that seems to be too much, you might have to drop back to every other day until you can build up, and then once a day, once you're feeling comfortable there and there's no problems, then twice a day at least. You can also, the nice thing about it is the carrot seed oil, according to University of Moscow, there's the carrot seed oil that's in the Defend blend. It shows that it helps to rebuild liver cells. So that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And so again, do compresses with frankincense over the liver, L-form internally. That's what I would do. And those are the 2 areas that I would work on. Thanks, Terry. That was a great question.
All right, so the water question?
The water question? Oh, yeah?
Basically, she's asking what type of water to use, and is alkalizing really that big of a deal since your body's supposed to do it naturally?
Okay, the question's about water, about alkalizing, drinking and using alkalized water. Is it really that big of a deal since your body's supposed to do that naturally? Here's the thing that you have to look at with alkalized water. There's a lot of hype and pomp and circumstance out there. There's one, and I'm not going to mention any names of any companies, but there's a company out there that started out claiming that you should be drinking 9.0 to 11.0 water every day because it'll help keep you in good shape. Guys, anything you use in excess is going to mess up your body. Your body has a very delicate balance. And it's just like we don't tell you go take a gallon of essential oils. It's unwise. And so the thing was, they found out after a while, people using that high of alkaline water, there's no chance of them getting cancer, but their heart stopped. They wound up going into complete cardiac arrest. You see, there's a narrow limit in the middle that you need to be between 7.0 and 7.4. That's where the blood needs to be. And you start getting that blood outside of that range by alkalizing too much or acidifying too much, you wind up in challenges. And death happens on either side of that range. And so once again, there's nothing wrong with alkalized water as long as you keep it in a proper balance. You don't want, if you're going to do 9.0 water, 11.0 water, it's a short time, and you get back out of there. Get down around your 7.5 or 8.0. That's where, if you're going to do maintenance, that's where you want to be. Keep within the balance. Anytime you go too alkaline, you're going to shut your heart down. Anytime you go too acid, you're going to burst cancer open all over your body. So once again, there are benefits to alkalized water, but do it within the constraints that the body requires. Don't get radical about it and go into 9.0, 11.0 water and stay on it consistently. Your body's going to say, I can't do this. So water that I'd recommend, is this just for drinking or for cleansing? I'm assuming this is for drinking. Once again, test your water. The biggest thing that's got the problem with water, guys, is the chlorine and the fluoride. You got all that stuff in there, and then you got all the heavy metals and things. Those are the things you've got to really look for. So look for a good, clean water. Try to keep your water as close to basic as possible. 7, 7.5, 8. That's what I recommend personally. My husband had a stroke on March 30th. I'm sorry. What oils might assist with his resulting constipation and his right leg that goes numb and weak, causing him to fall? Okay, let's deal with these two kind of a little bit separately here. Again, the stroke must have affected part of the brain that is working with the colon. Typically, that's not something that we see regularly with a stroke, but sometimes it can be. And so we're having a challenge there with probably peristalsis. That's the movement of the food through. And if the stroke happened and involved the nerve that takes care of that part of it, we're not getting this situation going on, not moving the solid waste through. The easiest thing to do here, again, helichrysum, brain gem are the two oils of choice, back of the neck. Also, I would go down to the vertebrae. It goes to the colon, and that's where I apply it. So you're going to be looking at lumbar 1 and 2, and that's where you'd want to apply that oil in that space. The numbness in the leg, again, is going to be nerve intervention, the helichrysum, and the copaíba, or excuse me, the helichrysum, yeah, and copaíba would be the two oils of choice to help with that. Okay? All righty, next question. I'm a 69-year-old woman with 30% bone loss. I have been using birch oil on the bottom of my feet. Are there other oils that I should be using? I use Massaji and Defend Pack daily. Also, I exercise 4 to 5 times a week, and I'm trying to eat clean as possible. Okay, Linda, really, really good question. You know, there's a couple things that we have to look at here. You know, as soon as we go through menopause is one of the challenges that happens with most women because the estrogen level drop. And so something you might want to consider here is clary sage, because it has an estrogen modulator in it to help kind of lift the estrogen up a little bit. The other thing is Venus, so that would probably help there also. There also, you need to look at your calcium-magnesium ratio. That's something that's very, very important to make sure that that balance is in place where it needs to be. And so, you know, one of the things that we're working on right now that will be forthcoming is going to be within the new meal replacements. I can't say a whole lot about it right now, but I think it's going to be very beneficial when we have the opportunity to release that situation. So use those two oils and should be in good shape. All right, I'm wondering if there are any oils that will help with HGH, human growth hormone, is missing since I had surgery. Okay, wow. That's a tough question because really there's really no oils that really work in that aspect. But with that being said, I'm just trying to go through my memory as far as research, anything that really works with human growth hormone. Because you have 3 different human growth hormones. Is one affected or all 3 affected? It's one of the things, the question I'm asking. So without any real further information on that, let me just kind of do a broad spectrum answer here. HGH, human growth hormone, is something that your body, they claim that your body stops producing as you get older and older and older and older. The truth of the matter is that your body does continue to produce it. It's at a little bit smaller level. It's never stopped, which they usually claim your body stops doing it. What happens is the receptor sites get all plugged up and gunked up and toxified, and so you can't absorb it. And so the first thing that I do, and this happened right after surgery, anesthesia, you kind of following where I'm going with this? I would do the liver cleanse, I do the colon cleanse, I do the smart cleanse with the liver cleanse. I do a bunch of cleansing, drink lots of water, and get things going again. The other situation that I'd be looking at, the only oil that I can think of, again, that would really be beneficial there is going to be helichrysum, okay? All righty, next question. Is there an oil that would benefit possible regeneration of cartilage for someone who has had an x-ray showing no cartilage in their knee at all and have been doctor recommended to have knee replacement surgery? Diagnosis options: mild to moderate and severe. Patient was severe. Okay, this is one of those things where we can't make apples out of acorns. It just doesn't happen. Cartilage is gone. Body has said, okay, it deteriorated it. You see, when we tear something, the body will try to repair it. That's why I'm challenged with ear tubes. They put a tube in, the body doesn't say, oh, there's an ear tube in, so I'll just wait until they get old enough that they're not going to have ear infection, and then I'll heal. It instantly starts healing around the tube. The tubes fall out, and then you have a permanent hole in your ear drawn the rest of your life. Very rarely will they heal through after they've healed around the tube. And that's the same thing with this knee replacement. The body has lost the cartilage. It's been years. Any healing or any regenerative stuff that's gone on is not going to happen because the body says, well, I'm done with it. I've already healed as much as I can. We're looking at surgery at this point. How do you repair hip bone, bone on bone? How would you repair it? How do you repair a ruptured disc? How do you replace the bone on bone? How do we get music for the EAT? Okay, Linda, the EAT, I just saw we had a big old stack of those somewhere here. We'll pull them out and get them available for you. Okay, so bone on bone. Once again, guys, once we've gone bone on bone, we've tore things up pretty bad. There's a lot of things that can be tried. Some people have success with it, some don't. One of the things that one of our distributors have tried is stem cell implant. It wasn't successful for her. Stem cells supposed to go into the inflamed area and start differentiating, rebuilding the bone. It's really, at this point, gravity is against us, and it's just, you'd have to hang upside down for months on end, putting the essential oils on to get the bone to repair. It's not something that can be done, nor is it really pleasant to try. So that's kind of difficult. Again, with the bone, you're probably looking at surgery, sorry to say. But with the ruptured disc, there's a couple things you can do there, and we've had some success with this. Again, gravity board is important because we've got to take and pull the disc apart so we can get circulation, because when we're standing, that disc is pushed down tight like this, and we don't get the circulation, and we get the grinding because we're standing on it, gravity is working on it like crazy. And so when you get on the gravity board, it pulls it apart, we put the essential oils on, we get better circulation, and we've had several people that have actually been able to repair their disc by doing gravity board using chirotouch and physical touch on location. Okay? My stepdaughter was diagnosed with chronic Lyme's disease and has been treated also for other infections carried by the tick, including Borrelia burgdorferi. It's usually Borrelia burgdorferi. She is receiving antibiotics for this. What research is there to use essential oils for treating chronic Lyme disease? Okay, Mary, this was a kind of a close one to my heart because we've worked with several small children that have been diagnosed with Lyme's disease from ticks, and we've had some really good success. 3 of the oils that we use for this is the Immune Pack, Spice of Life, Guardian, and Defense. Also, the 4th oil there is the L-Form. These 4 oils work very well because Borrelia burgdorferi is like a chameleon. It will morph, and according to Dr. Lyda Matman, they have found it morphing 9 times but still spawning the same symptoms as Lyme's. And so by using the Spice, Guardian, Defense, and L-Form, we catch the morphing cycle. And when we catch that morphing cycle, we're able to control it. The other oil that you have to look at there that we've used, oh boy, I'm sorry, dried out, is eucalyptus. And so 1 to 2 drops, these are all internal oils that you take internally, and in a capsule. Wow, I apologize. Thought I had a bottle of water here. Or he put a question up and he's going to go grab me a drink of water here. I've talked my throat dry. Okay, can you review how to best take Spice for Life, Guardian, Defense amounts and times The L-form protocol. Wow. All right, let's start with that. Oh, thank you. I might survive now. Okay, the L-form protocol. Quite a few in this one. Okay, so we start with one there. All right, so we want to start with Spice for Life. There's three different. With this protocol, there's basically three different phases. There's what we call maintenance, which is 1 drop of Spice for Life in the morning, 1 drop of Guardian at lunch, and 1 drop of Defense at dinner, and 1 drop of L-form at night, around 9, 10 o'clock. And then that's maintenance. Then we move into a crisis situation where we would move that up to 4 drops of Spice for Life, 4 drops of Guardian, 4 drops of Defense, and 4 drops of L-form. And then we move to acute. This is where we have a real problem. There is, we've been diagnosed with something and we've been given an expiration date by the doctor. Now we would do the Spice for Life every half hour or every 15 minutes, depending. There's 2 ways you can do it, either 15 minutes or every half hour, starting in the morning. So you start around 7 o'clock, so every half hour you do 4 drops in a capsule. And then at noon you do 4 drops of Guardian every half hour till 4. And then from 4 to 9, Defense. And then then you do 4 to 8 drops of L-form from 9, 10, and 11. You'd only do that for 2 days, and then you drop back to the crisis. And so that's how you'd use that protocol. So question number 2. Did I get all the question number 1 there? It's a little too small. There we go. Also, when taking the veggie capsules, can you add other oils such as turmeric and L-form? When you have a blend, if there's an oil inside of the blend on the label, you can add that oil to it to ramp it. To add other oils to it, I wouldn't advise because you're going to change the structure. So no, I wouldn't do that. Okay, number 2. There is research floating around online regarding being careful when taking turmeric when on other prescription drugs, in particular acid reducing reducers, and these are these same considerations required to be young essential oils on turmeric, taking capsules. Okay, that's a really good question. It's a lot of the information you'll find floating around on the internet. Some of it is legit, some of it is not. But on this situation, yes, yeah. The reason why is this: turmeric releases that drug from the liver, putting it in the upper GI and causing all kinds. It doesn't create acid, but it causes pain like you cannot believe. So you want to look. We have. You can go online and look at the turmeric, and you can see. Oh, that's in the desk reference. Okay, this is in the desk reference that we have available, and it gives you all the drug warnings and interactions there. So I'd highly recommend that you take a look at that. Okay. I know we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to have to keep on the questions. Okay, number 3, cataracts. Have been putting frankincense, eye vision, and clary sage under the eye, rotating them daily. Can you do this more than once a day or is it best to stay with the once-a-day application? Stay with the once-a-day application. You start doing too much in the same location every day, you're going to start pulling toxins there, and you're going to wind up with a rash. Or you'll dry out the skin. Okay. Number 4, oils recommended for individuals with severe interstitial lung disease. On that situation, guys, interstitial lung disease, your frankincense and your breathe are two of the best that I have used on any kind of challenges with lungs. So that's the two that I would personally do. Next question. Restless leg syndrome runs in my family. I have had it for years. I have managed without prescription medication the past 6 months. My legs have been so restless every night. I rarely sleep at night. I have tried quiescence, but did not help. Any advice? A lot of times we see that people with restless legs syndrome has some form of mineral deficiency. If quiescence is not helping out there, then I would definitely go over to the use quiescence along with your NutriSmart because there's probably a mineral deficiency. Magnesium is usually the case there. Okay. My sister was admitted to the hospital on Sunday with a twisted intestine. That's something that happens to horses. They've tried just having her rest to see if it'll correct itself, but nothing so far. They may have to do surgery tomorrow. Is there anything we can do with the oils to avoid surgery? Sandy, the best thing you can do here is give her a ride on a camel. It's an inside joke with Sandy. This is serious. This is not something to mess with. If that section of the intestine loses blood supply because of the twist, it dies. She can die. This is something that we don't have time to mess with oils to try to correct. This is something you better do surgery. Is there an oil that will help support the leptin? What's that? Yeah, it's amino acid. I was just thinking, holy cow. No, the only thing that I can think here, Cynthia, is, the Digest blend. Probably a lot of people might be having challenges with their digestive enzymes and stuff. This is something that you're going to be really excited to look at with some of the new things that we're bringing out. But Digest would probably help with some kind of bacteria that might be interfering with the amino acid process there. But that would be about all I could suggest to you. Outside of our new you. Yep. And you're saying, what's you? Stay tuned. Okay, glaucoma, should eye vision be used under the eyes? How much and when? Let's see. Glaucoma and cataracts, those two are quite a challenge. I'm just remembering back to Grandma Carolyn in Pueblo, Colorado. She used eye vision and frankincense under her eyes and was able to get her driver's license back because the glaucoma had left. So those two under the eyes, 1 drop once a day under the eye. That's it. That's all the questions we actually got through. Holy cow. That was intense, guys. That was awesome. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I literally talked my voice into a dry spell, and I apologize for coughing. But doggone, you guys had some awesome questions. Look forward to our next broadcast, the first Thursday of August. See you then.